Good morning and welcome to City Hall. We'll get started with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim Newby is the pastor at Church of the Savior. He'll lead us in the invocation. Afterwards, I'll ask Councilman Greenwell if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But would everybody please stand?
Let us pray. God of love and infinite wisdom, we gather today in a spirit of expectancy and hope. May we so act that we may bring help to those in need and credit to the city that we serve. For those who are discouraged, we pray for encouragement. For those who are weak, we pray for strength. For those in our city who are ill, we pray for healing. For those who are victims of violence, we pray for peace. For those who are treated unjustly, we pray for justice. Keep us, O God, ever sensitive to the needs around us as we enjoy our own abundance. May we be given a good disposition, Lord, that in all of our difficulties, we may be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Gracious God, may your light guide our mayor and the city council so that Oklahoma City may be strong in truth and righteousness to the glory of your holy name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every month, we join with the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City and the Foundation of the Oklahoma City Schools in recognizing our Teacher of the Month. And this month's winner is Heather Meldrum. Heather, where are you? Heather, come on up. We have a resolution. I'll ask the clerk to read it and we'll get settled in.
Whereas Heather Meldrum has been named Teacher of the Month by the Foundation for Oklahoma City Public Schools and Rotary Club of Oklahoma City for September 2013. Whereas Heather teaches 5th grade students at Stanley Hupfield Academy at Western Village and has served Oklahoma City public school students for 7 years. Whereas Heather has been honored as the Stanley Hupfield Academy at Western Village Building Teacher of the Year and the 2013-14 Oklahoma City Public Schools District Teacher of the Year. Whereas Heather Meldrum actively seeks to involve families in the education of their children, and she also actively pursues training opportunities to improve her teaching abilities. Whereas Heather Meldrum serves as a mentor to less experienced teachers, and whereas Heather is involved in the community outside of school and assists students and families in need. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Oklahoma City that they do hereby recognize and commend Heather Meldrum on her selection as September 2013 Teacher of the Month by the Foundation for Oklahoma City Public Schools and Rotary Club 29 of Oklahoma City.
Let's show our appreciation to Heather. And in a sense, the applause is premature because we have to vote on this. So if I could have a motion and a second, cast your votes, and it's unanimous. Congratulations. Now you can applaud again. And I visited the Hupfield Academy, I guess it's 3 or 4 years ago, and I did calisthenics, and I remember the kids were sitting on my legs and I was doing sit-ups, and physical fitness is very much a part of the curriculum that you all believe.
It is. The fitness part has always been a huge part of Stanley Hupfield Academy, which it is in a lot of our Oklahoma City public schools. Many of our schools are doing fitness programs within the school. They're not taking recess out of the classroom, or they're not taking away recess from the kids. They're making sure that all of our kids are getting their 60 minutes in. And so physical education has been a huge part of that. So.
And what do you teach?
I teach 5th grade. I get, right before they turn to middle school, I get to get them ready for that. So it's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd really like to take just a time to say to the Foundation of Oklahoma City Public Schools, I'm not sure that anyone here really knows how hard that group of people works, but it is outstanding what they do for our city and for our schools. And also, I'd like to take a time to take Mr. Shadid. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, Mr. Shadid, who is the representative of the ward where our school is. We have so many amazing things going on in that area right now with our kids and with the school. And so I want to thank you and the council for everything that you guys do and really for the support of the city. So, and this is a great honor, and I don't take it lightly, and I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Let's show our appreciation one more time. Heather, thank you. Congratulations. We also today are going to honor our Employee of the Month. And you can imagine in an organization that has literally thousands of employees, it's quite an honor to be selected. And today, we're going to honor Christy Hess, who is our South Oklahoma City Kiwanis Club Employee of the Month. Christy, come on up. We have a resolution again. I'll ask the clerk to read it.
Whereas Christy Hess has been a city employee for 5 years and 7 months and is an office clerk in the personnel department. Whereas Christy Hess serves as a receptionist and is the initial point of contact for the public, city employees, applicants, and others conducting business in the personnel department. She greets everyone with a smile and a caring attitude. Whereas Christy often receives calls from the public looking for a state or county office, and she always goes above and beyond to not only direct callers to the proper office, but to provide the correct contact numbers and locations. Whereas Christy was instrumental in the successful adoption of the new online job application system, which was implemented in July 2012. She believed the process would be better for all once it was implemented. Whereas Christy takes the time to explain the application process to potential applicants, and for those unfamiliar with online forms, she gladly takes the extra time while still handling her reception duties to walk them through the entire process. Whereas Christy Hess ensures applicants understand how to follow up on their application status and how to apply for future positions. Whereas this council desires to recognize Christy Hess for her great customer service, her courteous and friendly attitude, and commitment to the citizens of Oklahoma City. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Oklahoma City that they do hereby thank and commend Christy Hess, September 2013 South Oklahoma City Kiwanis Club Employee of the Month.
And we are going to need a vote on this as well, Christy. So let's see if we can get a motion and a second. Cast your votes, and it passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank, this is a great honor, so I really do appreciate it. And we were joking earlier, but I do mean it. You guys are the wonderful bosses, and I have great coworkers that make my job very easy. So thank you very much. This is a great honor.
The question is, who's over there right now guarding the personnel?
I don't know. I'm sure they're doing a great job.
Okay, I'm sure they are too. Christy, thank you. Let's show our appreciation to Christy and the personnel department. Thank you. Congratulations. As I call the meeting to order, and I think birthday congratulations are in order for Councilman White. Is that right, Pete? Is it today or tomorrow? The 12th. So Thursday.
I appreciate your note this morning.
You're welcome. Very good. All right, we're on item 3 of the council agenda. We have 3 appointments, item 3, C, D, and E. I'll look for a motion on all 3. Move the item. Second? All right, cast your votes. It passed unanimously.
Your Honor, can I ask a question on one of those appointments?
Sure.
On 3E, Alan Payne's appointed to the Trails Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently a park commissioner. Does he understand that he's going to be additional work? Because he's a great park commissioner. I hate for him to resign.
He was chosen because he was a park commissioner to be part of the Trails Advisory Committee, and my understanding was that he was very much in favor of this additional duty.
Okay.
So,
He's a
but
really good
I understand.
park
Well, if he
commissioner. I hate
gets
to
to a
lose
point where he has to cut back, I'll make sure he stays on as your park commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you got it. Item 4 is the Journal of Council Proceedings. 4A is to receive the council proceedings for August 27th, and item 4B is to approve the council proceedings for August 13th.
it. Move the item.
Comments or questions on the journal? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. And item 5 is request for uncontested continuances.
Mayor, I have several this morning. Starting on page 10 on the consent docket, item 6AJ needs to be struck. There's some errors on the item, and we'll bring it back in 2 weeks.
Number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6AJ3, you're correct, ma'am. 6AJ3 on the consent docket on page 10. And then moving on to page 17, under items for individual consideration, item 8C1, which is ABC 787. The applicant has requested that this item be deferred until the September 24th meeting. That's 2 weeks. Again, that's item 8C1. Also on item 8C2, ABC 788, the applicant has requested that this item be deferred 2 weeks until the September 24th meeting. And I believe someone did sign up to speak on that item this morning. There was an attorney that signed up to speak on that item. And so that item will be deferred for 2 weeks until September 24th. And then also item 8C3, SPUD 706, the applicant for that has requested that that item also be deferred until September 24th. So that's items 8, C1, C2, and C3 all being deferred 2 weeks. And then moving on to page 18, under item unsecured items 8H1, item B, 2130 North Everest, we ask that that be stricken. The owner secured. Item K, 2521 West Sheridan, we ask that that be stricken. The owner has secured. Moving to page 19, item Q, 121 Southwest 22nd, we ask that that be stricken. That's now occupied. And item BB, 3268 Southwest 46th Street, we ask that that be stricken. That's now secured.
All right, any other requests for uncontested continuances? We'll recess the council meeting, convene as the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority.
Move the items, subject to individual consideration.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the MFA? All right, cast your votes, and it passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCMFA, convene as the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority. 3 items.
Move the item, subject to individual consideration.
Okay. Comments on the PPA? All right, cast your votes. Passed unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCPPA, convene as the Oklahoma City Environmental Assistance Trust. Just the claims and payroll today.
Second.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Adjourn the OCEAT, reconvene the council meeting with the consent docket.
Mayor, we do have 2 presentations scheduled on the consent docket. We have one on the preliminary report on the police headquarters and a second one on the final plans for phase 1 of the Map Street Trails. Want to start there? Do you want to get other comments? Or?
No, let's go ahead and start with the presentation.
All right. I believe that Scott Dedman is here from ADG. There's Scott to present the preliminary report on the police headquarters. And as he's getting set up, I do want to recognize Councilman White. Councilman White was, I think, the genesis of moving this from a remodel of the building to a new building for the police headquarters. And so he, amongst others, but
Morning, Mayor. Morning, Councilman. We're here today. I think the last time we were here presenting was October 4th of 2011, and that was to present the master plan as we looked at what the possibilities were of remodeling or building new for the police headquarters. I'm Scott Dedman. I'm with Architectural Design Group, a principal, and with me today is Steve Matthews, the project manager for the Police and Courts project. We do have a large team of consultants that have been a part of this, been working very hard over the last months to prepare this preliminary report. Also, I would like to thank Chief City, Deputy Chief Jester, also Jim Llewellyn and Andy Mitchell, as they played a part in the planning and as we went through this, spent many hours sitting through meetings going through this. Just a little bit about the site. As you can see, we're a part of the larger Civic Center complex. And again, we think this is a real honor to actually to be designing a building within this area. So we, let's see, I have a cursor here. The police headquarters site is located with the Oval, which is directly south of the existing police headquarters. It's an empty lot at the moment. The building will be a 3-story, about 89,000 square foot facility. This is just an interesting photograph that we found, a historic photograph of the Civic Center complex that shows the building. So it shows the county courthouse, city hall, Civic Center. And then in the far top right or left-hand corner, you'll notice the site in that photograph. And one thing we wanted to do as we designed this facility is we wanted to be very aware of the buildings that we were becoming a part of in this Civic Center complex. One is the City Hall. One of the things you'll notice about these public buildings are the pattern of fenestrations of windows, how they're located or they're arranged in some very vertical orientations. Again, if you noticed in the Civic Center itself, the different materials, the tan brick, the limestone that's used, some very strong cornice details. One of the things that we really liked are the decorative metal grille work that take place over the windows. These are all things that we wanted to reflect in the new design. County courthouse as well. Again, very large vertical window treatments. Also, the public entry and the way it's treated is something very important. Adjacent to the site are several buildings. We've got the Museum of Modern Art, which has the large glass atrium, limestone, sort of picks up on a sort of a new Art Deco type of style. The county jail with the red and tan brick and black brick. You can see adjacent to the police headquarters will be the property or the property management building, which is currently being renovated on the interior, and there will be some work on the exterior done as a part of our project. And then adjacent to what would be the municipal court site is the Choral Directors Society, which has a tan brick similar to that used on the Civic Center and the other municipal buildings. So our site is bounded by Main Street on the south, Chartel on the west, Colcord on the north, and then Lee basically on the east. Just to look at the design, what we've tried to do again is reflect the buildings that are around, reflect the style and character of the municipal buildings that we have. The palette of materials are a mixture of tan bricks. It's the exact same brick that was used to expand the Civic Center a few years ago. The red brick is similar to the brick used on some of the more industrial buildings of that area. One thing we wanted to pay particular attention to is the importance of the public entry. So you can see a large atrium that rises up from the building that's capped with a metallic roof that extends a cantilever out over that space. Again, also, I'll just point out the vertical window openings. That was another theme that we tried to pick up in this design. As we come around the corner, this is the Chartel and Main Street view, and we think this is a very important corner. This kind of becomes a gateway to the Civic Center complex. And so on that corner element is made out of a material called CSMU, which is a material that has a very similar appearance to limestone. Unfortunately, the budget doesn't allow for limestone, so this is a material that has a very similar look, a very nice, smooth limestone appearance. Also, again, you notice that the window patterns is a vertical pattern on that south side. One of the things I'll note, too, we have presented this to DDRC. One of the things that we're varying just a little bit from the DDRC requirements is that we are creating a greater setback. So we were setting this building back about 30 feet from the curb line. And to bring the building up a little bit, we have a landscape retaining wall that serves to contain the landscaping, raises the building up, but also is a vehicle barrier as well, so it gives some protection to the facility. And then finally, just a view from Chartel and Colcord. Again, I think it's an important view of the building. You get a good look at the entry from that location, as well as the public plaza. So on the north side of the building, we have set the building back somewhat and created a public space outside of that that will have some seating and some landscaping in that location. The project schedule, just to give you just a brief rundown of that. Again, we're presenting today for the approval of the preliminary report. Our final plans will come out this month, and then the bid opening will be in October with a completion date in a construction completion date in the summer of 2015. At the preliminary report stage, the construction budget was $21,700, $21,800. Right now, our preliminary estimate is slightly above that by about $145,000, but that also, the initial cost estimate includes a contingency of almost $700,000. So we feel like we were very close to the budget and very much on track at this stage of the process. So briefly, that's our preliminary report. I think written copies have been submitted, and be happy to answer any questions.
In your design, is there a provision for expanding this facility?
There is, Councilman Ryan. The thought is that in the future, the evidence and property storage building is a relatively old building. It's being renovated to some extent, but there is space available that in 20 years or 30 years when it needs to be expanded, that there is that space available to the east.
Thank you. The architect's problem, but it seemed to me that one of the issues that we had to deal with in the old building was a lack of maintenance as it went forward, keeping it up to date. And so we're paying for that now by building a new building when we might have been able to save the old building had it been maintained properly, expanded properly, and rehabilitated properly. Are we going to try to ensure that that doesn't happen again in this new building?
We are. We'll make sure that we've got adequate funds available for proper maintenance.
Because it seemed like a lot of the systems over there got old and they weren't replaced or weren't updated as they should have been. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, that was my question also, because I'm convinced that we wouldn't be doing this had the original building been designed to be expanded. But I had a secondary question too, and it has to do with.
Actually, the original building was expanded once.
I know, and in fact, it was going through that expansion that convinced me that we need to build a new building. It just, I don't want to throw rocks at who was here before. I mean, someday somebody else will be here besides me, and they can throw rocks at me. But I think people did the best they could with what they had at the time. But I do think that planning to expand it is a much wiser way to do it. I mean, having a plan on the ground that does that. I had a couple of other questions. One is, does this include is there any recommendations in this anywhere that have to do with what happens to the old headquarters building?
Yes, it does. It actually falls into the next phase of construction, which would be the county or the municipal courts building. Mm-hmm. We'll be working on that next. At the time of completion of the municipal courts, then the existing facility will be taken down, with the exception of the old city jail, and at the present time be used as surface parking.
So no one is surprised when they hear it. I'm not going to be in favor of tearing the old building down. So,
the old
now
jail.
that we know, so I just want to get that out there before it becomes a shock to somebody.
Right.
It's that building has historic significance. It was built by the WPA in that whole WPA Couch Park thing in the 30s. It has
Jail, we're going to say.
Well, the jail remains.
The jail is not.
I thought I said the police headquarters. Did I not say that?
You did say the police headquarters.
Okay. Well, that's the jail, the old jail.
No. The whole jail is anticipated to remain. The police headquarters is anticipated to be torn down. There's a clear break between the two facilities.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I've been here too long. The original police headquarters, first time I ever went to police headquarters,
okay.
It was in that building where the jail
All right.
was.
No, okay.
That's true. It does say police headquarters right on the front.
I guess I've
door.
been here too
You're
long.
correct.
We're referring to that as the old jail.
Okay.
Yes,
And the old jail.
up on
Okay.
It's not
All right.
short
Yeah.
term.
Okay.
However, I think I'll make this point clear. Chief City would like to see it go away.
I know he would.
Absolutely.
I know he would.
But there are others who would like to see it be saved, so that's a
Right.
debate for another day.
Okay, that's another argument.
Okay.
That's correct. Right.
The other thing is in this historical preservation context that I'm that I've shifted to here. Are there things, architectural things in the building that you are tearing down that can be preserved and refitted into the new building as part of the?
Really, the only, those buildings have been added to so many times and
understand.
renovated so many times. The oldest part that is being demolished are sections of the old power plant, and it does need to come down. The other older area, I believe, was probably from the early 50s. The original, there was an original police headquarters, or very small, that was demolished many, many years ago, that no longer stands. So really, the long answer is no. We haven't found anything that would be worth.
Okay, well, that was a question. It wasn't rhetorical. I mean,
Now from the old police, the old jail, there are some very nice artifacts that we could
Right.
incorporate in.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. All right, Scott, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we have another presentation. I'll tell you, Commissioner Mon is here. I thought I'd give him an opportunity to come up and speak on item 6AV. This is a resolution from a request from City Care.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have with me Safari McDoulett's mother, Miss Patty McDoulett, who's, of course, a retired Oklahoma City employee who was a longtime servant of your Will Rogers Park Senior Center. Safari McDoulett worked for me until her untimely demise in a car accident where a DUI driver killed her last year. And one thing that she had worked on continuously was bugging me to death about Crystal Lake. And I thought that it was something besides a lake. I didn't understand what she was talking about, and eventually she got it through my thick skull that this was a big opportunity and that we could take the SHINE program that we work in conjunction with Oklahoma City with and go out there and turn around what was an area that City Care wanted to maintain, assuming it could get back to a ground zero level playing field. And so she just was relentless about it and was working with different things. And so this actually came to us from Larry Bross, who works with City Care out there administering that contract for you. And I believe Councilman McAtee was thinking this was a fitting honor as well. This would be an inland of sorts that comes in off the North Shore. It's kind of the highlight point out there, and a committee led by Miss Patty and the family is committed to raising some funds to establish a monument there on a point that you, I believe, will be considering to name after Safari McDoulett. So I would be happy to answer any questions, but I've said it many times privately, but as a matter of the records, Crystal Lake absolutely, in spite of it being my program and the crews that work for me out there taking care of it, it would not have happened without Safari's leadership and, quite frankly, her vision, because I didn't have it. She had it.
Yeah, John?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank both of you all for your hard work, and I also recognize Commissioner. I'm blessed to have 3 county commissioners in my ward, and thank you for your hard work within my ward. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both for coming down here today. We have a presentation from Curtis Brown on item 6AT.
Actually, thank you. Curtis Brown will not be here today. There's a change that Marty Ferris is here with Garver to do the presentation this morning.
Okay.
And this is the first of the MAPS 3 trail projects, and this is part of the trail that connects the Oklahoma River to Overholser, not the entire trail, but a part of it. And we would have wished to have gotten this out earlier, but it's been harder than we'd anticipate acquiring the right-of-way for this project, and so that's why this has not been brought to the council earlier.
Curtis Brown would like to thank you all for this opportunity, and he regrets that he was unable to be here to give this presentation, but he did send me here to give you all this overview of Garver's portion of the West River Trail connection here for the MAPS 3 project. So here's our portion of the trail alignment. It starts down there in the southeast, north at Council Road. That's where we will meet up with one of the other trail sections that is currently still being designed. and we'll be bidding shortly thereafter ours. We go there to the west along the north bank of the river. The river turns to the north there, and we stay on the east bank. We'll travel underneath I-40, cross under Reno, go around the edge of the old landfill there, go underneath the railroad, and then travel back up to the north along a utility easement, an OG&E and city easement along right there, all the way up to Northwest 10th Street, where we'll meet up with the trailhead at Lake Ovalholzer. Along with the trail, there are alternates for 3 parking lots that will serve for ease of access and as trailheads for our section of the trail. The first one is there at Council Road at the start. The second will be at Reno, and then the third up at Northwest 10th Street. Just a few overviews of the design of the trail. It's 5 inches of asphalt on top of 6 inches of cement stabilized base. Our section that we're building here is 3.1 miles long. It is predominantly 12 feet wide. There is a section that is 16 feet wide where we cross under I-40. That's just for a little bit extra safety and room for people passing by each other as they cross under I-40 there, because there is no shoulder or anything to run out. All slopes along the trail are compliant with trail standards. They're compliant with ADA standards. The steepest section is just for a short little distance of 6% to get us down under and back up from I-40. Other than that, it's predominantly 2% or less. Again, there's the 3 parking lots as alternates, and along with those parking lots, there's several site amenities at those locations and along the trail that are alternates. Here's the section where we cross under I-40. We'll have to be building a large retaining wall on the downslope side to give us the area that we need to place the trail, and then we'll have a small wall on the uphill side that'll reduce any loose riprap or debris from washing down or onto the trail and just creating hazards there. Just give it a nicer feel and look. This is what the retaining wall will look like. It's a preformed natural stone finish. It'll be a 2-tone brown. It's an uneven surface. It's there to reduce the chance of any graffiti markings, and it looks nice on its own as well. Just some more things about the trail. Here, there will be an aluminum trail edge. It's a heavy gauge aluminum L bracket that'll help set the edge of the trail. It defines it better. It keeps it looking nicer, while at the same time, it limits grass infiltration and then unraveling of the edge of the asphalt, so it gives it a nice longer life and reduces the maintenance costs of trying to keep the trail up. The trail through our section goes along several of the right-of-way properties that we've had to buy are from several heavily industrial activities. So there will be a black vinyl chain link fence placed between the trail and those former properties, just for the safety of all those involved, the industrial activities and the users of the trail, just to keep them separate from each other. It'll look like the fence there in the upper right, except it won't have the barbed wire on top of it. And then we will have post and cable system around the parking lots. That's just to kind of define the area that they're in, but to still seem welcoming and just to, define that. These are several of the site amenities that will be located at the parking lots and along the trail. There will be these, if the alternates are awarded, these shelter systems that can either have the park benches underneath them or picnic tables, and then mile markers that will be placed along our portion of the trail and the trail we're connecting to every 1/10 of a mile, so that way people will know for their activities how far they've gone, and then if something comes up, some sort of emergency, they can call in and tell someone they're on the West River Trail system at mile marker or something, and somebody can come right out and know exactly where they're at. Here's our current cost estimate. For the base bid for the trail is just under $3.2 million. The build alternates, so the 3 parking lots with their amenities, each parking lot comes in at just over $300,000 with its amenities, so that's another $934,000 currently. So our total estimated budget for this project is just over $4.1 million, which is well under our project budget of $4.575 million. So we do believe we will be able to get under the budget there on bid day, even allowing for some surprises. And I believe, if you have any discussion or question items, I'll gladly take those now.
Okay. Yeah, Pat?
Just a quick question on the amenities portion. Did you all think about restrooms, water fountain?
Those were discussed at one point, and it was decided that those would be put in as a later thing if it was decided those were desired and needed.
We have a lot of miles of trails without those facilities. Most trails do not have those type of facilities.
It would be nice.
Obviously, those are
We have
also
urban
expensive.
trails here that have that facility. I think it might encourage people to use them.
Larry?
Just a comment that, just so that everybody is brought up to speed, they may not know exactly all the details. This red line that's shown right here in this particular trail is only about half of the MAPS 3 trail, which will continue from Council Road and wind down. We'll go by Crystal Lake, we'll go by Safari Point, if you will, and make that a very accessible recreation area. And we'll meet up with the Oklahoma River Trail at Southwest 15th and Meridian. And so it's a very important fill-in to the overall Trails Master Plan to connect. So someone like Mr. Couch, who is a very avid bicycler, will be able, when this is finished, to start at Lake Hefner, for example, come over to Lake Overholser, come down on this trail, and end up all the way down in the Boathouse District. Just remember, Jim, you got to get back.
Understand.
Okay?
But I also noticed that nothing's over 6%, and that's really important.
And then there is one thing that has not been talked about very much, but between Rockwell and Council on Southwest 15th, there is a rather large waste management dump there. Some people may have not have remembered, but the folks there, when they were planning to enlarge that dump site, did commit a significant amount of monies, and when that dump site is completed, the money is there to turn that area into a low-impact park, which could very easily also hook up to this trail component in years ahead, and would give the viewers, other than the Devon Tower, the second highest point of visibility within Oklahoma City from what's affectionately known as Mount Trashmore. So this area in the next 5 to 10 years is just going to be fantastic to see what happens out there as this trail component gets completed. And thank you for your all's work.
Thank you.
Larry, appreciate your vision on this project too. It's been great to see and a much needed process. Great to connect the river to the lakes. Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the consent docket. We don't have a motion and a second on the consent docket. Now we do. Any other comments or questions?
Your Honor, just a
Pat.
couple of questions. On Alpha, India, excuse me, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one. Yeah, Alpha India, I was right, 6, Alpha India. On the date of completion, it shows December 2014. Is that a typo? Did they mean 2013? Because it seems like an awfully long extension, over a year.
No, that is not a typo. We think it's going to be done earlier than that. We want to make sure that we had enough time. If Eric could be here, I think he could probably discuss the time frame on that.
The only comment I would have is that work tends to expand to fit the available time.
I don't think it's going to expand over this one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that they anticipate it being done well below that. That's an outset date to make sure there's plenty of time to get that one done.
Okay.
I asked that same question.
Because we have some significant projects going on where they work to the date that they were given rather than the date they could accomplish it. And then on item, well, I guess that's it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Other comments or questions on the consent docket? Larry?
Just a quick question, 2 quick questions, Jim. On item Q, has there been any movement on getting the letter of commitment from the NCAA? And number 2, do we have the list yet of the people who have already committed to donate some funds to this?
A letter of agreement was sent to the NCAA last week. They got it. We acknowledged on Monday that they've got it, and we anticipate having something in the very near future on that. And yes, I have a list of the donors.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Ready to vote the consent docket? Cast your votes. It passed unanimously. We're on to the concurrence docket. Do I have a motion?
Move that concurrence docket subject to individual considerations.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the 3 items that comprise the concurrence docket? All right, cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Now we're on to item 8. These are items that require a separate vote. We start with a series of zoning cases. The first is in Ward 1 at 2101 North Sarah Road. It's currently R1 single family residential and a PUD and it would become a new medium low-density residential district. James?
Oh, okay. Thought I pushed it. It's been unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission. There's been no protesters, and this is a companion to a preliminary plat that's already been approved by the Planning Commission. Had anybody sign up to talk about it?
No one has signed up to speak. Is there anyone here hoping to speak on item 8A1? Okay, looks like you're good to go.
Well, I move for approval.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8A2 is a zoning case in Ward 7 at 16300 Northwestern. It's currently a PUD, and it would become a new planned unit development. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any protesters? I see that the applicant is here. Do you have any comments? All right, I move for approval.
Second. Comments or questions? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8A3 is a zoning case in Ward 8 at 1919 Northwest 142nd Street. It's also a planned unit development, will become a new PUD if approved. Pat?
Thank you, Your Honor. Francis, did anybody sign up to speak on this one? There were no protests at the Planning Commission level. It was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. I move for approval.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8A4 is a zoning case in Ward 7 at 2953 Northeast 23rd Street. It's currently R1 single-family residential and an I2 moderate industrial district, and it will be all put together in a new PUD. John?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have the applicants here? All right, can you please come up and make a presentation? I do have, for the record, I do have major concerns with this particular PUD.
Good morning. We'll need your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Joseph Mungusho and Freddie Maldonado.
Okay.
We jointly own the property at 2953 and 3001 Northeast 23rd. We've been using it for two purposes. One side, we use it for truck repairs as a repair shop, and the other side, we've been using it for parking our vehicles. We didn't know that it was under residential, so that's why we applied to change it into commercial purposes where we can repair trucks and park the trucks. So the first meeting we were approved for that, and we are just here we didn't have any comment. We received the letter just for approval.
All right. Thank you for coming down. Do we have those pictures? My concern is when County Commissioner Willa Johnson was city councilwoman, the city spent over $15 million improving Northeast 23rd Street with infrastructure and fixing the streets. I have major concerns that Northeast 23rd has become a dumping ground for trucks and other vehicles. So this particular PUD, can we go to the next picture, please? While we are trying to get the pictures up and going, I have major concerns that as you go down Northeast 23rd Street, you see trucks and trucks and trucks just sitting there. That looks bad. So I'm going to allow you an opportunity for you, both of you all and myself to get together and try to work out some differences. But as the PUD is right now, I cannot support it. So I'm going to ask for a 1 month deferral so I can give you an opportunity to get the PUD in order, because last thing we need, Northeast 23rd Street should be the street of opportunity. But unfortunately, it is not the street of opportunities. It is the street of junk. And we have between Northeast 23rd and Bryant to Northeast 23rd and Sooner, we have all these mechanic shops that this have basically, junking cars and trucks. So I definitely want to get with you and see if we can work out our differences but as it stands right now, I cannot support it. So I'm going to ask for a 1-month deferral so we can work out our differences.
Okay. You guys want to say anything?
We are okay with that. What we were waiting was any approval so we start development because we wanted to fence our part and make it clean. So anything else, we would not have started to do anything. So basically, I understand the other side to the east of our area. I think it's a shop and they keep all the vehicles, whatever it is, but
And as you look at this picture right here, this is what we see when we pass Northeast 23rd Street, and this is you all's property.
yes, we just cleared. That place was all trees. We just cleared that. And just put that.
But what I'm saying is Northeast 23rd Street should not be the street where people store their junk at. And I'm sorry, looking at this is pretty junk. So again, I would like a month, and let's see what we can work out.
4 weeks?
October 8th.
October 8th would be 4 weeks from
Yes.
today? Okay.
Thank you.
October 8th will be a new date, and if you'll work with Councilman Pettis in the meantime, and hopefully we can get this resolved for you.
How can we get to your office? And
If you would, when you leave here, if you can go in the receptionist area and ask for Debbie Martin, and she'll schedule a meeting.
thank you so much.
And thank you again for coming down. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to defer this item for 4 weeks. Any comments or questions from council? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8A5 is also a zoning case in Ward 7. This is at 11804 North I-35 Service Road, and it's a PUD and would become a new simplified plan unit development. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm okay with this particular PUD. I move for approval.
All right, anyone sign up to speak today on this item? Anyone hoping to speak? All right.
Yes, and I do apologize. The applicant did ask for an emergency.
Okay.
And I forgot to mention the emergency.
All right, we'll vote on the item first. It passed unanimously. And John, you want to make a motion on the emergency?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move for the emergency.
We have a second? Okay, cast your votes, and it passes 8-0. Item 8A6 is a zoning case in Ward 8 at 18200 North May Avenue. It's a PUD and would become a new simplified plan unit development. Pat?
Thank you, Your Honor. Is the owner here? Apparently he didn't come, but the PUD is approved subject to building it like the drawings show. And I wanted to suggest to the owner that he needed to do that because these things have, these storage facilities have a reputation for not being very attractive. But he has a good-looking drawing in here, but he needs to build it like it's shown. And I think Bob's made that one of the conditions of PUD. So I would move for approval.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on item 8A6? All right, cast your votes. It passed unanimously. Item 8B is an ordinance on final hearing. It's been recommended for approval to allow a special permit to operate an auto sales dealership in Ward 5 at West I-240 Service Road. David?
Thank you, Your Honor. This was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission. There were no protests, and I would move for approval.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Comments or questions on item 8B? All right, cast your votes. It passed unanimously. Item 8C1.
Your Honor, I'm
Yes.
sorry. They've requested the emergency
All right.
provision.
David's making a motion for the emergency on item 8B1.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Okay, cast your votes. It passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 8C1 has been deferred until September 24th. Item 8C2 has been deferred until September 24th. And item 8C3 has been deferred until September 24th. Brings us to item 8D. This is a public hearing regarding some procedures involving electronic purchasing. The council has been introduced this item in a previous council meeting. And is there anyone here that showed up hoping to speak on this item today? All right. Looks like we can move it forward. Do we have a second? Okay, cast your votes. Item 8D passed unanimously. Similarly, on item 8E, we have a public hearing regarding a resolution or an ordinance change that Wendell explained to the council on a previous council meeting. Is anyone here to speak on item 8E, public hearing regarding fees in the Parks Department? Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Cast your votes on item 8E. It passed unanimously. Item 8F is an item that's being introduced today.
Doug Dollar is here just to explain this to us. This is an ordinance for introduction regarding our EMSA service.
As you'll recall, several weeks ago, Steve Williamson and Dr. Goodlow were here to talk about the new contract that EMSA has entered into with AMR to provide emergency medical service in the city. And one of the aspects of that contract was changing, or was an option to change the response time requirement for priority 1 calls from 8 minutes and 59 seconds to 10 minutes and 59 seconds, based on the medical evidence that does not make a significant difference in the outcomes for patients. We have in our ordinances that 8 minutes and 59 second response time. So with the change in the contract, we've proposed the ordinance to make it consistent with that, to make it 10 minutes and 59 seconds as the response time. As Mr. Williamson stated, there's a significant cost difference between that 8 minutes and 59 seconds and 10 minutes and 59 seconds. And over the next 5 years, that's about a $20 million difference for Oklahoma City, that response time. So again, this ordinance is being introduced today. It'll be heard again in 2 weeks, and then a final time in a month.
All right, any questions for Doug?
Do we need to change priority 2 response?
Actually, when we went to go change the priority 1, we realized that our ordinance was out of compliant. It was out of sync with what IMSA's current priority 2 standards are, and so this was to match it up with the current standards. In essence, our ordinance was behind where IMSA is currently performing at this point. So this is to match them up. So we did need to change it to match it up, but it's not really a change in their current performance. That's their current standard. It's not a change related to the contract. Our ordinance was behind where IMSA is.
Okay, so we're changing priority 1 from 9 to 11 minutes. Right. And priority 2 is 25 minutes?
That's correct.
Have a motion?
Let me ask a question about that. Which council members are you two IMSA trustees? Both you guys are comfortable with that? It just seems, I mean, I'm just kind of from the outside looking in. I just have a little discomfort with it changing the standard. But you guys have listened to the pitch, I guess, that was made at the trust meeting and here, and got more in depth with it than we have. You're both comfortable with it?
Let me make a comment. I was selected and privileged to serve on the RFP evaluation committee that reviewed the responses. And during that time, we also looked at this particular aspect right here. And the medical evidence coming from the oversight, the Medical Control Board, was conclusive, in my opinion, that there would be no change in the outcome to the patients by doing this. It's further defensed, if you will, by the fact that on priority 1 calls that do involve, for example, a cardiac arrest, we are dispatching the fire apparatus before, and they arrive before the ambulance gets there. And so with the type of service that we have going in the total system, what has been represented to me, and both in the RFP evaluation and in the subsequent trust meetings, is that our public will not see a deterioration in the quality of service. And for example, I think we're right now, Doug, you can correct me on this, either number 2 or number 3 in the nation on outcomes from responding to cardiac arrest.
I don't remember the exact number, but you're correct. It's very high.
And the other thing that also is involved is the other component of this, besides the fire coming on the scene, is the fact that on-site CPR, which can be instructed by the dispatcher over the communication line to the people on the scene, is also critical in getting a good outcome for the patient that needs it. So the total system outcomes should be the same, and we should be benefiting from a $20 million saving, which Doug gives us the option of not raising the utility bill for the next several years.
That's correct.
So when you put it all together, it looks like a win-win situation.
I would just say that I'm very skeptical, and I have serious reservations about the direction that we're going. I think this is quite different than what we talked about 2 years ago when we talked about whether, fire would take over EMSA. We didn't talk about anything like increasing the response times so significantly. The reason that outcomes are not affected is because fire gets there first and stabilizes the patient and saves the life. Fire gets there at 4, 5, and 6 minutes. And if fire is there at 4, 5, and 6 minutes, then yes, it doesn't matter if IMSA gets there at 9 or 11 minutes, or on priority 2 calls at 25 minutes. But you have to ask, how is a company able to come in? I think it's $20 million per division. I mean, it's $40 million overall.
If Eastern and Western Division,
Right.
yeah, it was about $50 million total for the full system.
How is a company able to come in and shave $40 million off of what Paramedics Plus was saying that they were going to do? I mean, I'm just skeptical that what that means is that you're going to have a significant reduction in the number of ambulances, which I think is a concern that you've brought up, Pete. And that's how you're going to save the $40 million, is that now that fire, you're shifting the responsibility for saving the patient onto fire even more than it already is. Fire gets there first 84% of the time right now. That number is likely to substantially increase once the new ambulance provider has this lower standard. And so I think what's going to happen is that fire will get there. You're basically paying twice. You're paying for fire to come out. Our fire engines get about 1 mile to the gallon. They come out, they save the patient, stabilize the patient, and then EMSA can show up 25 or more minutes later for priority 2. Maybe the outcomes won't change, but I think that in terms of the amount of time that fire has to wait on scene and the amount of times that patients and their family have to wait, I think there is the potential for deterioration of service.
And I would defer to Chief Bryant or someone from fire to speak to it, but I believe under priority 2 calls, the fire department is not responding to those because they've reduced the number of calls they're responding to, and they're only responding to those highest priority calls. And that made a significant difference in the number of calls fire is making this last year. And I don't remember the numbers, but 25 to 30,000.
Unless we're at level 0, which means that there's no ambulances available, and then fire is going to be called in. And that's something we'll have to watch, is when the new ambulance provider comes in, if they are putting less personnel and less ambulances on the street, does the number of times that we're at level 0 rise and more responsibility gets shifted to fire?
We will monitor that. Of course, we monitor it now.
Okay. Item being introduced today, and we'll be setting a public hearing for 2 weeks from today, so anyone wishing to speak on this item can show up then. Do we have a motion on item 8F? All right, any other comments or questions today as the item is being introduced? All right, cast your votes. It passed unanimously. Item 8G is a public hearing regarding dilapidated structures. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under 8G? All right, how about a motion? Cast your votes. It passed unanimously. Item 8H is a public hearing regarding unsecured structures. We have one person that has signed up to speak, Marva Ellard. Morning, Marva.
Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
I'm good. We will need your name and address for the record, please.
Marva Ellard, 1521 North Chartel. I think Mr. Couch addressed item H1A, but he was talking so fast I wasn't sure. Was that one that was removed?
H1A, no.
Okay.
That was not addressed.
We're in the process of purchasing 2508 North Dewey, and I can tell you that as of now, it is secured as of yesterday. And we also own S, T, and U on 24th Street, 515, 519, and 525. Those are some little wood bungalows in Paseo, and we've had them open doing lead-based paint and asbestos testing on them. And last week, we did a bunch of tree trimming and securing and boarding, so everything on those is secure again.
What do you plan to do with the properties?
We On the whole south side of the block and the majority of the north side. So we're going to rehab all the existing bungalows and fourplex and duplex, and then add some infill structures to the empty land.
That's great. Well, it's a great project, Marva. Thank you. Ed, these are in Ward 2.
Well, actually, she has applied some boards. It doesn't really meet code. She's put some boards up. They don't cover the openings, but she still has about a week to finish what she's doing. We can leave them on, and she can finish, and we'll be good, and we'll recheck them.
And I can work with Greg. I talked to Greg yesterday, but we haven't been able to meet out there yet.
Right. It just seems to me like this positive activity is the result of the kind of the revitalization of 23rd. Am I right about that? So
There's a ton going on 23rd.
Yeah, and
land runs.
it's making 24th Street more viable.
We think it's going to explode over there in the next few years, so but we're very excited about contributing to the residential aspect of it while Land Run is doing some commercial work on 23rd in the old Catherine Lipes Hotel Motel Liquidator building, and then there's lots of new restaurants and other businesses popping up on 23rd, so it's pretty exciting over there right now.
All right. Well, thanks for your work.
Okay, thank you.
You okay? Okay. Anybody else here to speak on an item under secured structures? All right. Have a motion?
Second.
Cast your votes. It passed unanimously.
Your Honor, may I make a comment? Just as you've mentioned on 23rd Street, how commercial redevelopment is leading development in the surrounding neighborhoods. I'm hopeful, and I believe this will be the same case in South Oklahoma City as I-240 sees the results of some efforts by the businesses along I-240 to recreate that. I think the neighborhoods on both the north and south side of I-240 will see a lot of good development follow. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, and I'm glad you brought up Northwest 23rd. I'm trying to redo some things on Northeast 23rd. And that's one of the reasons why I deferred that previous PUD, because for so long we in the city has poured money into trying to put great infrastructure in. So I think just like what's happening on the Northwest 23rd can surely happen on Northeast 23rd Street. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. And John, those pictures, those seem to me to, surely those are code violations, the way those trucks were kind of scattered around the property.
It could be. We'll take a look at it.
Yes,
okay. Yeah, and it sounds like John needs some help over there. That's if it looks like that on a more consistent basis.
Yes, and yesterday, anytime I have anytime I have zoning cases, I typically go out and look at the property. And yesterday, I so happened dropped by and took pictures of that, and I see what's happened on 23rd every single day. But thank you for looking more into those code violations between Northeast 23rd and Bryant to Sooner. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're on to item 8I, and this is a public hearing regarding a couple of budget amendments.
Mayor, Doug did a presentation on these 2 weeks ago. The budget amendments are for a couple of purposes. This is primarily, number one, to move $8 million out of fund balance to go to a capital improvement plan. Secondly is to transfer the money to provide conduit financing for the Softball Hall of Fame improvements that we talked about, to be repaid by some philanthropic opportunities and also some naming right opportunities that are out there. And then there's some minor things that are there in some other facilities. There's some asbestos abatement at the Cox Center. There's some carpet replacement at the Cox Center. There's some storm damage at the Chesapeake Arena. And then there's a small amount to complete an airport project, road project down the airport.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is anyone here to speak on item 8I today? Okay.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a comment on the money that's being taken out of the reserve fund and put into this construction budget. That money should be administered by Public Works and not the individual council member. I think it's, to the extent we can take the politics out of it, everybody will be better off in the long run.
Okay.
Just a comment.
Any other comments or questions on 8I? All right, how about a motion? All right, cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8J is a companion item to item 8I regarding softball.
Right, this would have been on the consent docket, but the attorneys rightfully pointed out that you got to transfer the money before we can award the contract. So this is, now that the money is transferred, we can award the contract from the Softball Hall of Fame.
All right, a motion on 8J? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8K is a series of revocable permits. I don't ever remember this many events being held and presented to the council at one time, and we have a series of people that have signed up hoping to speak. We'll take them in order. Item 8K1 is an event in Ward 7 called Walk to Cure Diabetes. Is anyone here hoping to speak on this issue? All right. And we'll need your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm Jackie Davey, and it's 2212 Northwest 50th.
Okay. Tell us about your event.
I am with JDRF, and we fundraise for type 1 diabetes research, and our Walk to Cure Diabetes is one of our 2 annual signature events where we raise around $135,000 for type 1 research. So,
how long is the walk?
it's about 1.5 miles.
Okay, and this looks like it's in Bricktown?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. John, you okay with this?
All right, thank you. I'm definitely okay with this, and thank you for all your hard work and your organization's hard work as it relates to diabetes in our city. I move for approval.
All right, cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Good luck, Jackie. Item 8K2 is an event in Ward 6 called Rebuilding Together OKC Construction Derby. And it looks like we have a couple of people that have signed up to speak. And we will need your name and address for the record. Are you John?
Yes, I am.
All right.
John McCarron. The address for Rebuilding Together is 730 West Wilshire, Suite 108, Oklahoma City. Sarah Norton Sanner. I'm going to get that correct eventually. It's going to be passing out some brochures for you about the event, as well as some shirts for the event as well from the past experience. Councilman White and Councilwoman Salyer, it's been a big help in the past with this event. We appreciate it. The event is the 10th annual Rebuilding Together Construction Derby. Be held October the 6th at 11:30 on 5th Street in between Chartel and Walker. It's a great event. It's kind of like if you all remember the Soapbox Derby days. It's a fun event that will have children's events as well, with clowns, balloons, everything that you guys remember as kids will be there. So it'll be a lot of fun. I appreciate your all's time.
All right.
Mayor, this is really a great kids event too. If you anybody that hasn't been and take your kids, it is really, or grandkids, it is really a neat event. A lot of fun. It's a really good event.
And we really appreciate you bringing this event to us. Pete, you want to make a motion on it? All right, cast your votes on item 8K2. Passed unanimously. Thanks and good luck.
Thank you for your time.
Item 8K3 is an event in Ward 2 called Runtoberfest. We have one person that has signed up to speak. Are you Katie? Good morning. We'll need your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Katie Kramer. It's 5720 North Classen Boulevard. And we are a running specialty store up in the Classen Curve, and we are hosting our very first 5K running event. It will be held on October 6th, Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. We're promoting the health and wellness of people in Oklahoma City, and we are requesting approval from the city.
All right, it's in Ward 2, Ed.
Move for approval.
All right, cast your votes on item 8K3. Passed unanimously. Thank you, Katie, and good luck. All right, item 8K4 is an event in Ward 6 called Premiere on Film Row. And looks like Kendall Brown has signed up to speak.
Hi, I'm Kendall Brown, 706 West Sheridan. Premiere on Film Row is an event that's going to happen every third Friday of the month. It's filling in that gap on the third Friday that didn't currently have any consistent arts programming. We are requesting to shut down Sheridan between Chartel and Lee. We have enough events going on that both for safety concerns as people are going from venue to venue, as well as for programming concerns. We're going to be doing a lot of street performers, so we'd like to shut down the street every month, starting at 5:30 p.m.
5:30 until?
Until midnight.
Okay. Comments or questions here from council? Have you talked to Councilwoman Simak, and she's in favor of this?
I have not talked to her.
That's a Simak. Boy, that was a flashback. Wow. Councilwoman Sawyer.
Her daughter is actually on our steering committee, so yes.
Oh, so she is in favor of it. All right.
Yes.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Item 8K5 is also in Ward 6. It's called McNelly's October 1st Celebration. Is there anyone here hoping to speak on this item? We wanted your name and address.
My name is Brian Pittman, address 2520 Northwest 24th. We're with McNelly's. We're right in the middle of, actually middle of Midtown itself, right in 1100 Classen Drive. We're right in the heart of Midtown. We just celebrated our 5th anniversary, actually. We've seen several changes occur within those 5 years in the whole area and the redevelopment stuff. There's many new things going on also in that area, so we like to host several different opportunities and stuff and activities in town throughout the year to get people down to in the Midtown area to see what's goes on. And this is our, we have such success with our St. Patrick's Day celebration, the annual one. We started doing the Oktoberfest last year, and this is the second time we're going to do it, and it's just a nice opportunity to get people into Midtown and see what's going on and the changes that are occurring, and hope that it keeps on going. And we're just looking for approval for the request.
Sounds good. How about a motion? Yeah, we're voting on item 8K5. Cast your votes. Passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Item 8K6 is an event to be held in Ward 1, the First Baptist Church of Yukon, holding Miles for Missions 5K. And it looks like Nate has signed us up to speak.
My name is Nate McConaughey, 15 South 6th Street in Yukon. Let me say thank you in advance for working with us. The city of Yukon was not so willing, so thank you for your time. Put that on the record. There's a group of us that go down to Nicaragua every year and work with an organization called Voice of Hope. And that organization, their goal is to put feeding centers in the many, if you want to call them, neighborhoods of Nicaragua, down in the Leon area. And so that group of us goes down every spring break. And so this year we want to have our first annual 5K. It's also accompanied with a 1-mile fun run. On the southwest side of Lake Overholser, we've got 3 officers to cover all of our intersections there, as well as volunteers to cover the route. We realize that there have been several tragic deaths in the past several months along and around the same route that we have. So we've been working hard with our traffic and our officers to be able to cover that, so this is a safe and successful event.
All right, Nate, thank you. James, you okay with this?
Yeah, I'm excited to see something from Ward 1 on here. Normally it's just Ward 6, Ward 7, Ward 6, Ward 7. So yeah, no, it's good.
Thanks. Come run.
So yeah, I move for approval.
All right. Second, cast your votes. Passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 8K7 is an event in Ward 8. DG Productions holding Blaze the Night. Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll
Don
need your
Garrett.
name and address for the record.
Don Garrett, 12120 Hickory Creek Boulevard, 73170. Working with the Farmers Insurance Help Center. We've had this for 3 years. The 5K starts in their parking lot, uses 1 lane of Rockwell down to the Votex Center. Use 0.4 miles of Rockwell. Raising money for the March of Dimes.
Great. We appreciate your work. Pat, you okay with this? All right. Cast your votes on item 8K7.
Thank you.
Passed unanimously. Item 8L is a series of revocable permits. First is an event that will be held in Wards 1, 2, and 8. And this is the Red Man Triathlon. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the Red Man Triathlon? Good morning.
My name is David Wood, address 6012 Marlowe Lane. This will be the 9th annual event for the Red Man Triathlon. We've always enjoyed exceptional support from the city of Oklahoma City, and that has been absolutely true again this year. I am here just to answer any questions if there are any, and we're seeking approval for the event.
How many participants this year?
We're right at 1,100 athletes.
Oh, my gosh.
47 states and 3 foreign countries.
And all of those are doing all 3 sports? They're all doing the triathlon?
We do offer an event called the Aqua Bike for those who no longer enjoy running. And there are actually, with each year, a growing list. So that's actually probably fairly close to 200 of those athletes.
I would think the swimming would be the part that would scare people off the most.
It is. The half-distance triathlon is 1.2 miles of swim, 56 miles of bike, followed by a half marathon. And the full distance event, which is roughly 200 of those 1,100 athletes, doubles that distance.
And still the only legal opportunity to swim in Lake Hefner, is that right?
That'd be correct.
All right. Have a great event, and it's in, I'll let Pat
I have a
make
question. Will the park be open to the public during this?
As part of the revocable permit, we do agree to that as well, yes.
And the part that got my concern, because we've had some difficulties with traffic out in that area before, was what street will be closed for this 110-mile bicycle ride?
Well, over time, we've moved to a point where the course now, we only use one lane on one road at any one time. So MacArthur North on the outside lane. When we come back into town, we've taken the bikes over to Council, and then they come south on Council, back down to Britain, and then back over to the lake property.
And you will have some police officers at the intersection?
I think there are a total of 32, and then an additional 95 volunteers that are at any ingress or egress point.
Well, this is a great event. It really draws a lot of attention to that part of the city. Thank you very much.
We enjoyed the support. Thank you.
All right. David, thanks.
Thank you.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8L2 is an event in Ward 6 called the Mesta Festa. Is anyone here hoping to speak on this event? How about a motion then from council? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8L3 is an event in Ward 7 down at the Boathouse Foundation. John, you okay with this?
I'm absolutely okay with it. Do we have anybody from the Boathouse?
Oh,
That's what I thought. And I want to thank the Boathouse Foundation for everything that you all do on the river.
Of course.
And also in the community. A few months ago, the foundation allowed the New Horizon District of the Boy Scouts, which I'm the chair of, allowed us to have a day camp there. And we had a couple hundred students from the inner city. And so it was great for them to experience what the Boathouse District has to offer. So again, thank you.
Absolutely. I'm Amanda Bowen. My address is 725 South Lincoln. We are hoping to host the Oklahoma Regatta Festival October 2nd through 6th. It's a day longer this year because we added an extra event on Wednesday the 2nd.
Sounds great. Thank you for your work.
Sure.
I move for approval.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. I'll pass on that Men's Fitness Magazine just recognized the Boathouse Foundation's events as one of the top, one of the top exercise opportunities in the country. Yeah, so, and they were specifically pointing out the dragon boat racing. Yeah. All right, so we're on now to item 8L4, and this is in Ward 8. It's called the 2013 Oklahoma Ultra Running Championships. David, you're back.
I'm back. Again, David Wood, 6012 Marlowe Lane. This will be year number 5, I think, actually. At Bluff Creek, it gives us the premier opportunity to run a road course race and a off-road course race at the same time. One of the only locations in the country where we can do that. In this instance, in increments of 1 hour, 6 hours, 12 hours, or 24 hours, athletes will be joining us from all over the world to participate in the national championships. So they'll actually run for 24 hours. Uniquely enough, with the athletes that are coming here to participate in the 24-hour event, there's a very real possibility that we'll break the world records in the women's and the men's distance for 24 hours. So.
And you're drawing competitors from how many other places?
I think at this point, we're at 32 states, and then there are probably 3 or 4 foreign countries.
That's great. What type of weather would you hope for that morning?
We'd love, 73 degrees,
All right.
something around there.
See what we can do.
Let's see, if I can order that, let's do it. Okay.
You came to the right place.
Exactly.
All right, how about a motion then on item 8L4, Pat?
Move the item.
All right. Cast your votes. Thanks,
Thank
David.
you all very much.
Mayor, there are 11 either revocable permits or revocable right-of-way permits on the agenda this morning. I think that may be a record, I'm not sure. Josh Ryan handles all those for us and administrates them, and has advised me that on the council meeting in 2 weeks, there will be equal that number, if not more. So it's really a sign of I think, the vibrancy of Oklahoma City.
It's great. Item 8M is a resolution that'll call a special council meeting for Tuesday, September 17th, so that's 1 week from today. Motion here?
Move the item.
Second. Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8N, I understand we do not need executive session on this item?
Do not.
All right, how about a motion?
Move strike.
Okay. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 8O, I understand we do need executive session?
We do.
All right, how about a motion to
Move
move
it to
item 8O
executive
into executive session in a second? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8P, I understand we do need executive session?
We do.
Okay, how about a motion then to
Move
move item
executive
8P to
session.
executive session? Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 8Q is claims recommended for denial. Is there anyone here wishing to speak under any item listed under 8Q? All right, how about a motion?
Move the items.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 9 is claims recommended for approval. Is there anyone here wishing to speak under any item listed under item 9? All right, how about a motion?
Move the items.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. And 10 is items from council, and we have an ordinance to be introduced today from Councilman White. All right, Pete is moving this item for introduction today.
I'll second it. And can we have questions?
Certainly. We have a motion and a second. We'd be setting this for a final hearing on September 24th. Yeah, David?
My only question is, as we get further into the year, if we found that we may need to reestablish one of these meetings, we'd have that ability in case things began to develop that looked like we would need to.
If you'll notice that this is not quite the same every other week sequence that we do in the summertime, and some of that has been to accommodate things we already know are coming up, water trust meetings, different things that we're trying to make sure that we don't. But we will have the every other weeks as we do now, as we do next week, for workshops or whatever's needed to.
We always have the ability to call a special meeting.
Right.
Yeah, just as we're doing for next week.
It seemed to me, after observing this for a long period of time, that the second fiscal quarter is probably as easy, if not easier, to do this in, because we have some automatic holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year's holiday sometimes is something that happens in December. The National League of Cities is in the fall, and so oftentimes there are quorum concerns that we just cancel meetings for anyway. So it seems to me that it certainly is as easy to do it in the second fiscal quarter as it is in the first, and maybe easier to do it in terms of timing.
Pete, did you do any study for additional months, like January, February, March, April, May?
I thought about it, but looking back over several years of doing this, January, perhaps not January, but February, March, April, May, and June are meetings that if we don't have a council meeting, we need a budget type presentation meeting. So it seems to me that we could go ahead and talk about doing it year round, but I would think that at least February, March, April, May, and June, we'd be back doing every meeting anyway, or because of budget sessions with all the different departments and so forth. I've talked to a few department heads, and for the most part, the only real comment I got was, and I suspect Josh would have the same comment, I got from Wendell that had to do with people that wait till the last minute to get permits. That could be problematic, and I suspect if I had thought about talking to Josh, he'd have that same comment, because I think a lot of these things do come in at the last minute, but I'm not sure someone's waiting to the last minute to get a permit to have a race is enough of a reason not to bring all the department heads in here for 4 hours and have us come down. It's not something that I want to make a test of fellowship around the horseshoe about, to be honest with you. I think it makes sense. I think it makes economic sense. I think it makes sense in how we do our business. Doesn't do anything to keep us from coming down on any given Tuesday to take care of business that needs to be taken care of. We'll see.
All right. Item introduced today. Comments from council continue. Pat, you want us to get us started?
Your Honor, just a request to the city manager to remind drivers who are in city-identified vehicles to be particularly careful about following traffic laws. And then the second thing is to encourage them to wear seatbelts. There was an unfortunate accident involving an Oklahoma City police officer where he was not wearing a seatbelt, and had he been wearing one, his injuries may have been significant, but they might be less significant than they turned out to be. So I feel we encourage our city drivers to follow the laws, and secondly, wear seatbelts. I think I'd be a step in the right direction. Thank you, Your Honor.
John? David? Pete? Anything else? Larry? Ed?
Yeah, two things. Just condolences to the family of Matt Grice. I wish him the best. Prayers with the family of police officer Matt Grice. Second, I want to just talk for a second about bus shelters, which it appears that a substantial portion of the fund balance funds are going to be spent on bus shelters. I asked, 1 or 2 months ago if anybody had an objection to that to let me know, and nobody has let me know. So I'm assuming that we're a go. The only 2 people I've talked to are Pete White and John, and they've both said that they're planning on using fund balance funds for bus shelters in their wards as well. There may be others. That's just the only 2 I've talked to. So at least 3 wards we're looking at bus shelters. And I know, Pat, you said that you wanted fund balance in the purview of Public Works, but I think that to make this work, so much of this would be policy decisions. This has been a debate that's been going on for 30 years. I was reading an Oklahoman article from 1982 yesterday, in which Ward 5 Councilman Jim Scott was very upset about the way we were giving over all of the advertising revenue to the advertising companies. And so because those shelters that were those bus benches that were put out from the 1970s and 1980s are still what we're using today, the decisions that we make in terms of what bus shelter to use, I think, needs some vetting and needs some public discussion and public input, because they may be with us for quite a while. It looks like we're going to be putting out quite a few, and so I think that public input is necessary. This would be a great opportunity, Jim. There's things like mindmixer.com. This is something the planning department has looked at. It's a way that not everybody can get to town hall meetings, but everybody could put ideas of different bus shelters. You could debate and vet all this. It would cost the city of Oklahoma City about $800 or $900 a month, but you could use it.
We've talked about that.
Right.
Rolling that out.
So in terms of attracting more people to your transit system, the most important things are frequency, frequency, and frequency. After frequency, it's the quality of the experience at the bus stop. And studies show that people will walk a longer distance to a bus stop that protects them from the weather and provides comfort and safety. Studies also show that the perception of time is much slower when you're waiting. When you're waiting out in the hot sun, the perception of time it goes about as much as 7 times slower than time spent on a bus. So that quality of experience is very important. And when cities get into this debate or vetting, you tend to split into 2 camps. There are those who are transit riders and those who are non-transit riders. Non-transit riders tend to be more concerned about the aesthetics. Transit riders are more concerned about being protected from the weather, safety, having the shelter be 5 to 10 feet away from the curb, comfort. So you get things like this. Like this is a bus shelter that won a design competition and gets all kinds of architectural awards, and it looks really nice aesthetically, but the Oklahoma City weather would just pound this. I mean, it would just, this would do nothing to protect someone from the Oklahoma City weather. So we actually had, I've read in at least 3 or 4 different books and periodicals about the design competition that we had in 2005 in Oklahoma City, and it got a lot of recognition, but we can't find the results, and nothing was ever implemented. So there was a design competition done in Oklahoma City in 2005. It just hasn't provided any guidance. So look, Boyd, can you go to the next? This cut off a lot. There was a design competition in San Francisco. This is what they're putting through their city. Notice that it has a map of the transit system, which none of we really don't have in our city. We could have real-time bus information about how long until the next bus. This has recycled roof and a solar panel. That maybe that's too green bean for Oklahoma City, but go to the next one. This is Chicago. This is what they're putting in Chicago, and they're clearly trying to protect riders from the weather. Can you go to the next one? This is what they're putting in Brooklyn. Can you go to the next one? This is Minneapolis. I mean, just to show that, I mean, you can make public art out of it in certain areas or certain corridors. If certain corridors wanted to try and come up with something distinct for their area, they could do something like that. Can you go to the next one? A similar thing like this. So it's just that, it's worth some thought, and it's worth some getting public input if we're going to do this, because it might be with us for decades, and it might go all over the area. In Ward 2, I can tell you that what COPTA has identified as the highest priorities is 39th and Penn Square, Northwest 50th in Portland, Northwest 23rd in Portland, that's on Route 10. On Route 7, Northwest 36th in May, Northwest 48th in May. On Route 5, 24th in Classen, 122nd in Penn, Western in Hefner, Western and 92nd, Classen at Belle Isle, and then on Route 23, Northwest 23rd and Western. I think, I think a lot of the policy decisions, if we put in the capital, there's going to be some advertising issues that will need policy decisions. Some of that could potentially impact the streetcar. I know that cities like Memphis are paying for some of their operations with advertising revenue, and so figuring this out now may help trying to figure out operations on things like the streetcar. I think that I would reach out to streetcar advocates. There's a feeling that kind of trickle-down transit economics, that you build a streetcar, people will love that, and then years ahead there will be a benefit to the bus. And we can agree to disagree. I would have liked to have seen something included in the $120 million in MAPS 3. Bus shelters weren't talked about, I get it. But this is an opportunity to make real on-the-ground differences right now, to minimize some of that inequity. And I would just invite everyone to participate and try and help us come up with first-class bus shelters that treat our transit riders with dignity and result in more and more people being attracted to our transit system. Thank you.
Your Honor, I have no argument at all with the objectives that Councilman Shadid had brought out, but I think it ought to be part of a plan. Before we commit to build bus shelters, we ought to understand what we're getting into. And I'm concerned that we're just doing this and hopeful that things will follow it properly. But I think we would be much better off if we had the meetings you suggested, Ed, to get the public's input, decide what the city wants to do, what our policy is, our philosophy is towards these sort of things, before we commit to building them. Because I think we need to take that preliminary step first, understand what we're doing and what the implications are before we rush in and promise people we're going to build bus shelters for them.
And I think that's a good idea, but we're doing anything but rushing into it. There was a Journal Record article in 2008 when Tyler Media bought the majority of the street furniture from.
But Ed, what I was talking about was rushing into it was we have no plan here at the city to do it. We have no idea what it's going to cost. How many bus shelters can we get for X amount of dollars? What kind of advertising revenue might we expect? And the idea of putting bus shelters in is a new one. We've not done it before, so I think we needed to move forward in that direction. but with some kind of a definite plan rather than just to do it and hope for things.
Well, just to let you know, I mean, we've been working for months, and I've worked with COPTA, and that's how we came up with these sites.
But the city council's not been involved in it.
Okay.
And I think the city council needs to be involved in making what I consider to be a policy decision as well as an economic decision.
And I'm all about that and having public meetings, and I just want to get that process started, getting the council started, and get this done this fiscal year.
Well, I think it's a great idea, but I don't think we ought to commit to spending any money building bus shelters until we have that plan in place.
There are federal funds that we can leverage now. If we can get this properly vetted, and we can leverage this year federal funds to make these fund balance dollars go much farther. So
it's a great idea, but I think without a plan, we would have slim chance of any to getting money from the federal government. Without some kind of a plan, an economic analysis, a ridership analysis, some facts to back up what we've suggested. Now, I understand there's lots of empirical examples that you pointed to that show it's a good idea, but I think in Oklahoma City, we need to take a specific look at what Oklahoma City requires and what our philosophy would be. That's all.
So what would you propose as the next step?
That we have maybe a workshop on this idea? Where we can get some input from not only from the public, but from the city council members? And from the COPTA people, how much will it cost? What kind of advertising revenues might we expect? I just think those sort of things need to be known before we jump into this project.
Mayor, my decision to put some of this money is not, I don't believe it's in conflict with what Pat's saying, other than the fact there's not an overall city plan, which I do agree with. But what I did was I talked to Rick, and he told me that there was an 80-20 match right now available for bus shelters. And I asked him to pick the 4 most important bus shelters in Ward 4, not spend the whole million, pick 4 of them. With an 80-20 match, I'm still going to be able to do virtually the same road that I would have done if I'd have put 100% of it into roads. And I'm going to put the 4 most, not by my choice, but by COTPA's choice. And they are, in fact, putting bus shelters where they can afford it right now. Because my first choice was, I said, I know where the one that I think, based on just my own observation, I know where it is. He said, you're right, that's the worst one in your ward, and we're already doing that one. So it's not like we're jumping out there with a new idea. As COTPA has the money, they're trying to do it already. Now, I'm not into advertising part of it. That is a discussion we've got to discuss. But to try it incrementally, ward by ward, doesn't bother me. And I don't want you to think that I disagree at all with your idea that Public Works and somebody other than me point and say, put one here, put one there is a good idea. Because I asked COTPA, I said, I don't want any input in it. I'll tell you the one I think is the worst. And he said, you're right, it is the worst, and we're building one there. But then they came back with 3 others. So, because I do agree that the idea that we just go off and pick projects that affect a very small group of people or just affect something, what is our heartfelt view, I think that's a mistake. I don't. And we're going to have that debate, I think, at some point in time right here about one of the projects that we're talking about spending the money on. But I think as long as you stick with Public Works or the city entity that makes those decisions, I'm not troubled by that. And I wouldn't put all my money into it. I got some areas where I don't get road money unless I do it with this $1 million. So I've got to do that. But with the 80-20 match, it's only going to just very incrementally make a difference in how much road I can do.
Well, I think your theory is great, but I have some question when you say $1 million. There's been no decision, as far as I know, to give each ward $1 million to spend on their project.
Well, okay, you're going to parse my words, but you know what I mean, and I think the public knows what I mean, that we have allocated $1 million per ward based on the priorities. We've done it for several years.
I don't think that's not my suggestion to how we spend the money, because I think dividing that $8 million by 8 and spending $1 million makes it a very political kind of thing.
Pat, you've heard me make that same argument. I mean, I've made the same argument, but if we're going to do it, I'm gifted at mathematics. Once you get to 5 people that think that's a good idea, I'm not going to beat my head against the wall. I'm going to say, okay, let's do what we can do and go on down the road. Now, if you've got 5 people that agree with you and I that it shouldn't be divided by ward, then I'm all for that too.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, James?
I just, the neighborhood or neighbors night out events, there's a whole bunch going on, so I just encourage everybody to get out in their neighborhood and meet their neighbors, get involved with their neighborhood associations, because the neighborhoods that are best sustained are the ones that have the most involvement. So it's a very, very important thing to do, and I just want to point that out because there's a lot of events tonight and in the week to come. So that's it.
All right. City manager reports.
Mike Carrier is here this morning to give us an update with CVB. Mr. Carrier.
Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Mike.
Council, good to see you. Good to be with you all again today. It's a pleasure for me to be here today and to bring you our year-end report. I believe all of you have a copy of it, and so you've had a chance hopefully to look through it, talk about it in just a few minutes, and give you some of the highlights that you would see in there. I also want to thank Mr. John Williams. John is the chairman of the Convention and Visitors Commission for this year, and he has come down today to join me, and appreciate him being here. This year has been a very good year for the hospitality industry in Oklahoma City. We continue to run very strong numbers in our hotels. Our attractions have had good years. Not all of them have not had great years, but they have had good years. We have seen a number of major conventions in the city over the past year, a number of major events that have had very good attendance, excellent participation. Our hotel tax has grown by approximately 10% this past fiscal year and continues to be on the rise as the economy has returned, as our business has continued to grow stronger. So it's been a good year. As we try to do every year in presenting our program of work to you, we plan to be aggressive. We look at what we have done in the past and what we think we can do. We try to be aggressive. I would love to stand in front of you and say we met every one of the targets that we set. We didn't. But if you don't set targets, then you really don't know where you're going to go to begin with. So we try to be aggressive in what we do and get out there and work as hard as we can. I would remind you that the measurement of those targets is a snapshot at the end of a one-day period. That is the end of June of each year. And so we're not like a hotel in that every night their inventory turns over and replenishes by 100%. We're more like a retail store. If you don't sell all 24 cans of beans that are on your shelf, well, you still have those to sell tomorrow. And so we still have hotel rooms. We still have tentative pieces of business that our group has worked on that are in the decision-making process. As a matter of fact, at the end of this past fiscal year, we had over 100 pieces of business still in the pipeline, groups that we had talked to during the year that had not made decisions. So there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of people that are making decisions on their schedules. We continue to work with them very hard. It was a good year for us. Our hotels are running high numbers. Our equine and livestock events continue to be very prosperous for Oklahoma City, continue to grow, and continue to show promise. Our convention business has been very good. The challenges that we've had in the convention business are some of the same things that I've talked to you about before. The lack of the size of facility that we would like to have and that keeps us from booking concurrent events very often and working back-to-back events efficiently. One of the things that has challenged us with this year, and we're seeing more of, is regional and local events that produce more local traffic, and by doing that, they lower the value of the dollar value of what's being spent in the city. People are not staying in hotels because they're able to stay at home and drive in. They're not spending as much in restaurants or in other local attributes when we are faced with those kinds of issues, as we would see for a large national event such as when we had the U.S. Conference of Mayors a couple of years ago. So we continue to work hard to bring in higher value pieces of business. groups that will have all of their folks, or the predominant number of their folks from out of town, required to stay in hotels. They spend a lot more money, and we're delighted to have those. But it's been good for us. The fourth quarter, we booked 45 conventions, hosted almost 290 motor coach groups. For the fiscal year, we produced 185,000 future room nights in the sports and convention side of the market. We ended the year with some 383,000 future room night leads that were working. Some of those had already gone definite over the course of this year. As I said, over 100 of those groups were still outstanding at the end of the year. So we feel good about the future and continue to work it and work it hard. As I'm standing here today before you, 2 members of my staff are out on a site visit here locally with a meeting planner who is looking at bringing a meeting here in 2016. It's a large regional meeting. It's the kind of thing we do all the time, so we're very pleased with that. On the tourism side of the house, the motor coach business continues to be strong. We're not in Orlando. We're not a primary destination, and so the motor coach side of the business is something that we take very seriously, because we have some excellent attractions that should be promoted and should be an attraction for these folks to come to. This year we had almost 700 motor coaches that came into Oklahoma City, brought passengers here that generated over 8,000 room nights and about $5.5 million. And a lot of times, in a lot of situations, that's fill-in business that completes a hotel's sale for a particular night or 2 nights, puts them at 100%. It's great business to get and a great way to promote our community. We continue to see very strong leisure traffic. And by leisure traffic, I'm talking about weekend or weeknight getaways by families, by couples. It's amazing to us continually as we go to Kansas City, to St. Louis, to Chicago, to LA, other cities around the country, to promote Oklahoma City as a leisure destination, the things that people already know about us. And it's very rewarding to see that our image has changed dramatically and that people are paying attention to what's going on in Oklahoma City. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but it's rewarding us by increasing the occupancy in our hotels, the numbers of people through our attractions, and bringing more and more people to Oklahoma City. In terms of our marketing and communications, we produced a new website a year and a half ago. This year, the traffic on that website, as we look at year-over-year traffic, is up by about 66%. And the inquiries that we get from that, the responses we get from that, have been absolutely tremendous. Great thing about that website is that it is very user-friendly. It is also very back-end friendly, which means that we can continually update it. We can make changes on a moment's notice. We can do a lot of things that make it easier for the traveling public to find out what they need to know about Oklahoma City. We also deal in what's called non-paid or earned media. These are stories that get published in things like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or various publications around the country. It's been interesting to us because over the last several years, there's been a lot of talk about social media taking over and that print media is dying. And while there is some truth to that, there are still a lot of travel-related publications out there. And so we deal with a lot of travel writers. We deal with a lot of reporters that are calling us, talking to us, or people that we're bringing in specifically to talk about what's going on in Oklahoma City. And that has generated over $1 million in free publicity for us. And us, I mean Oklahoma City in that regard. People that are writing stories out there that are very complimentary about Oklahoma City and telling what's going on. One of the things that I'm very proud of, this pen that I'm wearing is for the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. It's a program that started in Kansas City and that we brought to Oklahoma City last year. Over the course of this first year, through the training program that involves, we have over 230 professionals in our industry, from bellmen to police officers to taxi cab drivers to restaurant employees to frontline workers throughout the local area. Edmond, Norman, and Oklahoma City have partnered on this. We've got a little over 230 folks that have gone through this training. there are over 1 million CTAs across the country, and we're a part of that now. And I would invite all of the members of council to take the 4 hours to come to one of those courses, sit down and go through them. It's very interesting, the things that you learn. And people that have lived here all of their lives have walked out of that saying, I never knew that before. I didn't know that that existed. I didn't know the backstory behind that. And I certainly never thought about helping a guest in the way that you talk about helping them. So it's very interesting, and would love to have any of you that would like to be a part of that come go through that. This coming year, we think we have the potential to have a very strong year. Again, starting out with over 100 events in the pipeline that we're continuing to work. I will tell you, the second week of July, we received a call from a group we've been working with for a year that told us they had just had their annual meeting and had voted to bring their 2020 convention to Oklahoma City in the new convention center. In August, we went to Cincinnati as part of a promotional effort for a group that we are going to be finalizing the bid for, and they will make their selection in 2015 for their 2019 convention. They're coming here because they want to be in the new convention center, and it's a local, it is a heavily local group that is behind that push that the CVB is assisting. So there's a lot of interest out there. There are a lot of people looking at us. Our hotel tax collections through 2 months are up by almost 11% over last year. We have had some influence from the storms in late May, but as we have gone back and done a little bit of preliminary looking, it appears that a lot of the increase that we are seeing through the first couple of months of this year is not related to the storms. It is business that was already on the books. It is other normal increases that we are seeing that are comparable to what we saw last year. So we're going to be doing some more analysis of that, but we feel very good about this year. Very pleased again to be here before you today. Appreciate your all's support. There's a lot of good things going on here in Oklahoma City, and it's a great place for us to be able to promote, to sell, and to welcome guests as they come to visit us. So with that, I'll be happy to answer questions.
All right, questions for Mike?
Your Honor, thank you. Mike, congratulations. You may not have met your goals, but you had an outstanding report to give. My question is, do you make any effort to get this to the press, the results?
This information? We will now. We would prefer to give it to you all first.
I understand that, but yeah, I think there needs to be an effort to get these numbers out to the people, because particularly among the older citizens in Oklahoma City, the question is, why would anybody want to come to Oklahoma City for a convention? Because they're in their mind, they're thinking about Oklahoma City in 1971 or 2 or 3 or 4, whenever before the Renaissance began. And I think we need to change that mindset, because these people could be valuable ambassadors in your program if we got them on board with the success that we've been able to achieve in Oklahoma City with convention.
Certainly we look at doing those things all the time, and we will, now that we've given this report to you all, we certainly will be touting these numbers and getting them out to people so that they know what's going on in Oklahoma City in a very positive way.
Because there was an interesting article in the paper this morning. Eric, our public works director, was interviewed, and I think if we could get the same kind of coverage for Mike and convention business and visitor business, I think would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
David?
Your Honor. Mike, you know, the council is being briefed today on the new convention center, some of the preliminary plans for that. And then you take into account the MAPS 3 program and all the improvements that the city is benefiting from that. I don't mean to sound too critical, but yet the area that I see there's a little bit of a deficiency is from the private sector. And if I could be a little bit more specific, I still am, cannot explain why we haven't seen a greater amount of development, say in the Stockyards area or the old Capitol Hill area, from a restaurant and entertainment perspective. I think if we could bring those two areas along to supplement and complement, just as we've heard this morning, the development along Northwest 23rd, the Asian District, Bricktown, Midtown. It would only enhance Oklahoma City as a destination point from a convention, and I think it would go a long ways from an overall economic development perspective. The city can't lead in that private development, but I'm just at a loss for an explanation as to why we haven't seen development. I could see where somebody in the restaurant business could come in, team with any one of the numerous country and western celebrities that come from this state and put a new facility in the Stockyards area, even tie it in with the Oklahoma Opry, and really make that into an area that would be not at the same level initially, but hopefully long-term could compete with the Stockyards area down in Fort Worth. The same could be then focused in the Capitol Hill area from more of a Hispanic, if you wanted to, type of development. And again, I think the city, if we saw that kind of development, might even consider some type of a shuttle between those 5 or 6 areas to help promote that from an entertainment perspective. So I guess my comment is, I don't know what else the city can do to assist in this effort from a convention and tourism and overall economic development beyond what we've already done. I think what I'm a little bit frustrated in is seeing some activity on the private sector in those 2 areas especially, but just overall, I think it would be very helpful to the continued growth in Oklahoma City. It's not directed towards you or anybody. I'm just sharing some frustration.
If I may comment on that real quickly, I understand your frustration. There's some discussion ongoing about something related to Stockyard City that, if it comes to fruition, could certainly be a game changer for that particular area. And it's driven by, has been driven by private citizens to this date. And so there would be a public component to it, but I think it sets the stage for some significant. I also know that Jessica Herrera, the retail specialist at the Chamber, we've been working with her again on some things in the South Oklahoma City area that I think will help to address at least part of your concern for the Capitol Hill area, but I think will also begin to show more return in that area as we move forward. It's Councilman Shadid's comment a few minutes ago about the placement of shelters. Hotel development, restaurant development is all about location, location, and location. And so sometimes it takes a little while longer to get some of the, it's not necessarily infill, but it takes a little while longer sometimes, but those things are being looked at.
Well, and I'm not trying to take up all of our time with this, but I do think you could see even further activity by the city along the river on the south side should some of those things happen. You could, and if we could get the state to finally fund the completion of the Native American Center, we could tie in Stockyards all the way east to the Native American Center with a lot of activities along the river, the south side of the river, tie in Capitol Hill. So there are even more things we could do if we just could work in partners with the private sector.
All right.
Can I ask, it's a little off topic, but can I ask you just about security? My understanding at the Thunder games, for example, the Thunder hires off-duty police officers to patrol. At these equine events at the fairgrounds throughout the year, how is security handled? Who pays for that, or is that?
All of that is handled through the state fair management. I believe, and I'm not 100% positive on this, but I believe that they also hire off-duty Oklahoma City Police Department officers to provide security. I do know that over the last several years, they have made quite a few capital improvements that have made security an easier situation out there. access to the trailer parking, to the barns, et cetera, is not as open as it used to be. I can tell you the participants in the horse shows notice that, and they appreciate it. And so, that's all handled through the state fair management, much like the arena is handled through SMG or those type of situations.
So it's off topic from this, but let me just ask, just because the state fair starts on Thursday, and I'm just curious how we divert as many as 70 officers to the state fair who are on duty, correct?
We provide on-duty services to the state fair event itself, but Mike's correct on the equine shows that they pay for it.
Let me just ask about the state fair and who pays for 70 officers covering the state fair? And that's
Bill, you want to address that? It's my understanding that we've historically provided security for the state fair.
Yeah, historically, we've always provided we scheduled officers for the state fair to cover the times while it's open.
I mean, that seems like a large number of officers, 70, they need to be doubled up. You're pulling people in for overtime. I mean, if you have 70 at the state fair, you got to have a certain number covering the city.
Right. During this time of the year, we try not to schedule vacation time, those types of things. We try to stay fully staffed as much as possible so that we can schedule those hours. There's very little overtime that's actually scheduled out the state fair. It's usually just on-duty time from the different divisions. So we use the existing manpower.
Has there ever been debate historically about who would pay for that security?
No, not really. No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mike, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else on city manager reports?
Yes, I do want to highlight there's a disaster recovery status report that's in your packet. Frank Barnes put it together. It's very, very comprehensive. I asked Frank for a 2-3 page report, and I got a 10-page report, and I was going to edit it, and I couldn't find anything to take out of it because it's very, very comprehensive, from the damage that occurred during the events to the recovery efforts that take place, to the removal, the code enforcement that we're doing, the damage to city facilities and property, and so it's a really good summary of what happened during this early summer's events. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, citizens to be heard. Well, Joe Nelson signed up to speak. I don't see Joe. So we have executive session. We'll be back. We have returned from executive session and we are adjourned.